Welcome to the Equinety Podcast, where horse owners just like you share their incredible Equinety stories and how Equinety is changing their horses' lives. Whether you're searching for something to give your performance horse better focus, faster recovery, and more stamina, or in the extreme case where all hope seems lost, give your horse what it needs to help heal at a cellular level, you'll find it here. So jump in on today's episode to hear how Equinety is helping horses worldwide. Now, welcome your host, John Dowdy.
Hello and welcome to this week's Equinety Podcast. We are swinging up into Alabama. We've got Marie Lyons on the call this week. Marie, welcome to the Equinety Podcast.
Thanks for asking me on, and I'm really glad to share.
Good, because this time, and I think, if memory serves me correctly, this is the oldest horse that we've had sponsored, or not sponsored, but highlighted rather, on the Equinety Podcast. Tell us about your senior horse. How old is this horse?
He's 41.
41.
This year, right. I'm going with an estimate with that because when I got him, they weren't 100% sure, but they thought he was 12, and that was in 93.
Well, what's funny is when you told me that you acquired him when he was 12 in 1993, and I'm trying to do the math. I'm like, holy smokes, this horse is up there. So I would imagine this horse has a little personality. Tell us about him.
He is, yes, he's got a personality, that's for sure. He is probably one of the boldest horses I've ever ridden. He also, when he came to me, he came without steering and without brakes. Basically, he went in straight lines. But over the time that I've had him, he's been fox hunting. He's been eventing. He's actually done dressage if you want to ride two pogo sticks.
Yeah.
Because it was not the most elegant dressage horse. Very bold jumper. If you faced him at anything, be prepared to go over it. And if it was scary, he just lifted way the hell above it. So, yeah, you did ear inspections. But he amazing horse. Just your all-round athlete.
Yeah.
Raw-boned Appaloosa.
Wow. So
yeah.
How long had you, or let's reverse this question. At what point did you start running into some challenges with this senior horse? Probably
when he was about 33. Around about that time, funnily enough, he was still eventing at that time, low level, baby green, amoeba. But I mean, he'd go out there and tote somebody around a little, event course and do walk trot and not kill anybody. But what I noticed was I was having a problem, especially in the summer. And everybody can say, what? In the summer, he would turn his nose up at feed. I mean, he'd look at me. I'd serve him. It was steak and potatoes, for heaven's sake. The horsey version of steak and potatoes. Mm-hmm. And this horse would give me the look like, you're kidding, right? You want me to eat that? I don't think so. So
oh, man.
What I would do would be I would stuff food down this creature all winter. Because at that point, the grass wasn't out there, so there was no salad. So I'd see how much I could bolt down his face. And then I would watch that slowly dissipate until sort of October and the grass died. And then I could start feeding him again because there was nothing. I would spend my entire time trying to get food down his face. So that worked all the way up until probably 2 years ago. And at that point, I mean, I need horsey dentures for this thing because I don't think there are many teeth left in his head. So everything's got to be mush. But if you do it as mush, he says, I'm not, look at me, I'm strong. I don't need mush. And he won't eat it. So, it's like, hello, excuse me. So anyway, how it turned out that I ended up on Equinety was a friend of mine who had boarded at another stable, came back with a horse. And I had taken care of this horse for about, I would say, give or take 12 years. And he was a thoroughbred. He's a horse that cribs. So it's like me who's a smoker, anything and everything panicked this creature until he'd lose weight.
Right.
He didn't have a particularly good coach. And during the winter, Terry had a terrible time keeping weight on him. So anyway, he came back to our barn, and I mean, he was glowing. He was in the pink of health. He had a beautiful coat. It was last spring. You know, while everybody else was getting coronavirus, this thing looked absolutely fabulous. And I was like, wow, what did you do? And she said, oh, I put him on Equinety. And I was like, I'd seen the ads, and I had actually asked my vet, who, by the way, is now a really big fan of the product because he got to look at my old fart.
Right.
Okay. But he said it looked like snake oil, and that's the reason I didn't buy it, because it was like, it's not a cheap product, and I can understand why now. All right. So let me just get that out of the way first. Hey, I have champagne taste on a pauper's purse. So let me just put that out there, okay? I'm about as tight-fisted as you can get. So it's like, well, okay, I'm going to give this stuff a try. So this was last March, and I did post pictures, which I hope Equinety will use.
Yes.
I had a horse that looked like an anthropology lesson. If you wanted to know the skeletal composition of a horse, you only had to look at mine. Okay?
Yes.
So
And we do have these pictures, and we're going to post these at teamequinety.com right below this podcast. We're going to post those on there.
Fantastic. Because, hey, for a vet to about turn on what he had seen on this product, that's a big thing, I think. And, you know, I don't know, I haven't asked his permission to give his name, but my local vet went, holy cow, what the hell are you feeding this horse? Okay, because I showed him pictures. He was shocked. And he said that, he would keep it in mind and he would recommend your product. So there's a little bit of free salesmanship there.
Oh,
but
that's
anyway,
great.
I digress. Yeah.
Now, also, your guy is a very picky eater, correct?
Oh, God. I told you. I mean, everybody else can feed salad to their horse. I have to do meat and potatoes, the most expensive meat and potatoes you could buy. And after about a month, he'd go, I don't like this anymore. I want the most expensive feed you can find.
Yeah.
So, yes, very picky.
And
extremely.
How did he take to the Equinety?
Well, I started this in March, so there still wasn't that much grass out. And I soak a beet pulp Bermuda pellet, okay, which in order to give him roughage, I have to be the only person in the world that walks into a horse's barn and goes, congratulations, you've got 2 poos today. I was so excited. So anyway, yeah, he was a very picky eater. So what I did was I would put the Equinety, his cool calories, and this horse gets a full cup of cool calories, his Equinety and MSM into the soaked beet pulp mix. That was my way of disguising it.
All right.
And much to my surprise, he cleaned up. After about a week and a half, give or take, he started cleaning up his food.
Nice.
I was absolutely gobsmacked. This is a horse that I've been trying to persuade to eat. Yeah, for 5 years. Okay, 5 years. That's a long time.
That is
to try and persuade a horse that you're not trying to feed it arsenic.
Yeah, you're giving the guy whatever he wants when he wants it, and that Here we go.
Yeah, and he's telling me that I'm giving him arsenic.
All right.
I mean, that's so. At this point, I was really excited. So I thought, well, crap, I need to start. And that was part of it too. When I started the Equinety, I thought right off the bat that I was going to take photographs because I wanted to see whether it worked. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we actually encourage everyone to do is, before you start, take some photos. And then 30 days later, take another set and you can compare them. And the great thing about it is the product starts working in 24 hours. And the vast majority, and I'm talking upper 90 percentile, typically see changes in 30 days or less.
Right. And I think why it took a bit longer for Sundance was being old. Mm-hmm. I think it takes the body a longer time to metabolize. On a younger horse, you know, the horse that I was describing initially, he's 15, and I think that on a horse that has a proper digestive system, I think it goes in, it's absorbed a lot easier, a lot faster. But when you've got something like Sunnybun, who really, his digestive system is like, I mean, you've seen older gentlemen. I can say this of my father before he passed. You know, what was a robust human being, the body just doesn't take supplements as well as it did when it's younger. The body just doesn't absorb it as well. And that was what was so shocking with Sundance.
Yep.
He went from trippy, lethargic, pissy attitude. That's the best way I can put it. Yeah, he had a pissy attitude. Nothing in, you know, I mean, you walk into a stall and he wasn't a happy pony.
Right.
But now, and I believe we talked about this earlier, I rode him out I was riding him home actually. He'd been out for the day and he was coming in for the evening for supper. And excuse my French again, but the little piece of tried to bolt with me. Do you know how terrifying it is to have a horse with a heart murmur try and bolt with you when you're bareback with a halter?
Yeah, that would be...
I had visions.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. My visions of my life coming to a very, very quick end at this point. I was like, would you knock it off, you little... But yeah, he is doing amazingly well. Every now and again, I'll take him out and we'll go out for a little hack. It's mostly around the property because he's the only one that doesn't go, oh my God, there's a monster around the corner. You know, I can take him anywhere. And he's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He'll wade into ditches and all that. And so I take him out for the odd hack. His feet have improved. I mean, every year almost, I have had to deal with abscesses. I haven't had any abscess problems this year. His feet look really good. I hate to be one of those people that goes, oh my God, you've got to go out, rush out and borrow this product. It's bloody brilliant. Well, yeah, I hate to say that, but yes, it is. You do. If you've got major problems with your pony, I've now got 3 horses in the barn on it. Yeah. The other 2 are younger horses, but it's for foot problems.
Right.
So
now you also mentioned.
Attracted.
Yeah, you also mentioned that he was a cribber. Is that still an issue?
No, that was the first horse, and yes, it's still an issue. I'm afraid.
Yep.
Yeah, but you might want to touch base back with me about midsummer because I've got my other app. He's a 15-year-old mutt app. I've had him for 2 years now, and the problem I'm having with him is allergies to bugs. Mm-hmm. This thing will rub his skin off. He lives in a wedding dress with veil and everything. Yeah. He spends the entire summer in a full fly sheet with a neck wrap.
Yep.
So I've put him on it and I'm hoping that it's going to help his allergies as well. So I don't know.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We've had I live in Florida, so that's a big issue down here with sweet itch and allergies and different things. And more times than not, it's helped. There are some cases where it does not with those specific things. But for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, maybe you're doing your own research, you've come across this Equinety product. And on this podcast, we're specifically talking about the Equinety Horse Excel. We actually have 2 products, but this one we're talking about the amino acids in Equinety Horse Excel. Now, what makes this product so unique, it doesn't fit into a specific category of a hoof supplement, a joint supplement, a calmer, or a weight gain, or anything like that. What it is, 100% pure amino acids. There's no fillers, there's no sugars, there's no starches, and there's no loading dose. And whether it be a mini pony or a draft horse, they all get the same dose, which is about the size of a teaspoon. And what these amino acids are doing specifically is giving the body what it needs to release its own hormones out of the pituitary gland. And then the body is able to send those hormones to its own problem areas with pinpoint accuracy. So this is why it doesn't fit into any specific category. It's just an overall helping to repair from the inside out. And so we've done quite a few podcasts where we've got multiple horses. Sometimes we'll talk 5, 6, 7 horses with all kinds of different issues. And in essence, it's customizing to the horse. But even with this one, at 41 years old, we're talking a senior horse. We're talking a picky eater, one that dropped a significant amount of weight. No matter how much food you were putting to him, it helped increase his appetite. There hasn't been any abscess issues since, and he's ready to go run a race somewhere. Apparently, when you say go, so he's
marathon horse. Yeah, absolutely.
So he's still got a lot of spunk.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I wish I'd known about your product probably about 5 or 6 years ago, because just to give you a quick background, I've been doing this for 30 years. I have my own business. I take care of other people's horses. Mm-hmm. They rent a stall at the facility that I work at. And basically my part of the business is I look after these horses. So I have done horses from Pasafinos to thoroughbreds to draft horses to Tennessee walkers to Arabs. I mean, I've literally hands-on a really large assortment of horses. And I've had probably about 4 or 5 that have been cushionied. And I would love to have had this product because it would have helped them so much.
Yep.
That, and I've had several horses that have foundered, and for the same reason, I wouldn't say that I'm one of these people that I'm naturally skeptical.
Mm-hmm, right.
Well, that goes with being broke. If you're broke, you're always skeptical.
Yes.
Just a point of fact there,
Yep.
And I don't lend advice to go buy a product unless I know that I've used it and it works. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go, tell somebody, oh, go try this or that, if I haven't actually used it myself.
Right. Yeah.
And gone, OMG, this is good stuff. So, I want you to do it for dogs, okay? I've got a dog that could do with allergy relief. So if you do dog stuff, that would be good too.
Believe it or not, we have a lot of people that use this same product on their dogs. I've been using it on mine for probably 6, 7 years now. And
okay.
Yeah, for those out there that have their dogs that they want to care for, we have a lot of people that give it to their dogs. And interestingly enough, they get the same scoop as their horse, just 5.2 grams, about like a teaspoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I might try that on him then, because he is really itchy.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's kind of one of those situations where if you can get the body to heal itself, it's better than putting a whole load of drugs down them.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my thought,
Yep.
And we're learning more and more of that as we go along. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
brilliant.
This is one of the reasons why this product does help in so many ways, is because we're giving the body what it needs to help repair from the inside out. And so, it's customizing to each horse or animal, and which is one of the reasons why we started this podcast a couple of years ago. There were so many stories coming in, and most of the time my jaw was on the floor because there's some pretty extreme stories that this product has really helped with. And I tell people all the time, this is not a miracle supplement, but it sure has done some miraculous things. So, if you're in a situation and you've tried a lot of other things, or if you're just at the point where you're just searching and you came across this product first, we would have a lot of people say, just try this first because it'll save you a lot of headache trying to figure out what's going to work. The odds of this working are so high that it is definitely worth trying. And another great thing is there's zero negative side effects. As a matter of fact, we recommend not changing anything that you're giving your horse and just add this to it. And then over the next couple of weeks to 30 days, the vast majority of people are able to see a significant enough difference where you can then decide to reduce or stop using other things. And very rarely does it go outside of the 30 days, but sometimes it does. I mean, it is amino acids. They start working right away. And it's pretty amazing. We're blessed in that fact. So, well, Marie, is there anything else that you would say to anybody that still might be on the fence after hearing your experience with the product to get them to try the product?
Hey, I mean, like I said, I totally understand. And when you look at something and you go, wow, can I afford to do this? Break it down on a daily basis. That's what I ended up having to do to myself so that I could con myself into buying it in the first place.
Right. And actually, this works out to $1 a day per horse. So it's very inexpensive that way. I mean, here in the U.S., it's $100 for the large tub, which is about half the size of a Folgers coffee can. So it's not very big, but there's 100 servings in there, and there's no loading dose. So that's like I said, I mean, each person has to have their own way of coming to terms with whether they're going to spend the money or not. Right.
Correct?
That's correct.
And how I did it was, okay, so this is saying 90 days, $99. Okay, so that's about $1.50 a day. So if I give up going to Starbucks for 3 times, hey, I've already paid for the product. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to me, I mean, just a very, very brief background on myself. I started riding, by about 4 and 5 years old. I wanted riding lessons. And I have had horses on and off in my life since then. I've worked for hunt stables. I've worked for racing stables. So it's not that I haven't, seen adequate shots and the different ways that people have worked to keep their horses sound, yada, 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 performance horses. So, yeah, skeptical, yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely tickled pink with the product. I lost a horse 2 years ago who had lesions on his navicular. And I wish to God I'd known about this stuff then. Yeah. Because I think it would have helped him.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that if you have a situation with your horse where you're not sure and you're tearing your hair out in clumps and now are verging on bald, this is a good thing to try.
Yep.
Go for it.
I couldn't agree more. There's so many stories and, we're blessed in the fact that it works. It works very fast. And, as you had mentioned before, it converted your vet who was a big skeptic.
Yeah, was skeptical.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
So, yeah, that's great. Well,
I
Marie,
I hope it helps. I really do. I hope I'll have converted somebody out there.
Absolutely.
I really,
No, and that's why we have these podcasts is, people going, maybe they've got a senior horse, not maybe as 41 years old, but maybe in their 30s. It's still going to benefit even on the younger horses. So that's great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, Marie Lyons out of Alabama, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story here on the Equinety Podcast.
You are most welcome, and thank you for touching base with me.
That's all for this episode of the Equinety Podcast. For more information on purchasing Equinety, be sure to visit our website at teamequinety.com, where you'll also find product information as well as more testimonials on how others have seen amazing results by implementing Equinety into their horse's supplement regime. We'll have more stories on how Equinety is helping horses worldwide right here on a future episode of the Equinety Podcast.